461. That's the score from the last draw if you had a profile and qualified under the Canadian Experience class. You could have actually got an invitation to apply for Canadian residence. Permanent residence. Permanent residence as in Canada. Well, it's not really too late, and with the latest immigration prospects, I'm confident a lot more of you have a chance of coming to Canada. So how do you create a competitive Express Entry profile? Well, for starters, we need to know how the points in Express Entry are divided. This is important because we need to get as much points as possible to be competitive. So if you take a quick look at the Express Entry points breakdown, the easiest way to get ahead is with your age. Now, age is fixed. You can't change it. You can't go back in time and become young. But this is important because if you are young between the age of 20 to 29, you get 110 points. Now, realistically speaking, the people that would benefit from this are those between the age of 25 to 29. Because by this time, you're working somewhere, hopefully, accumulating work experience. When you are young, you also have a lot of flexibility when it comes to options. You can always come to Canada through a study permit, get a Canadian degree or a diploma, and then work here gaining Canadian work experience. This would automatically put you in a very strong position, especially when you're creating your Express Entry profile. So age, even though it's fixed, you can still make a lot out of it, especially if you're a younger applicant. Now, let's say you're in your 30s. What options do you have now to make your Express Entry scores competitive? Now, many people opt to take the study permit route to Canada, followed by a postgraduate work permit, and then they apply for Express Entry. We'll talk more about this later down the road, but of course, this is a great idea if you have a good support system. Also, most people in their 30s tend to be married with their spouse, having a lovely married life. And the Express Entry profile weighs you differently when you're including your spouse. If you have a good education background, that will really help your score. In addition to that, boost your IELTS score. This is vital for those in their 30s because the higher the IELTS score, your CLB scores also goes up, which also increases your Express Entry score. Of course, for some people, this is hard. In that case, try CELPIP. Some people find CELPIP easier than IELTS, and some believe the IELTS is much easier than CELPIP. Either ways, your CLB scores are vital. A CLB of 9 gives you 116 points if you're including a spouse in your application. Without a spouse, you have 124 points. Now you understand why being single matters. Now, you can always use the Express Entry route without your spouse, especially if your spouse doesn't have strong work experience and language skills. Keep in mind, the goal of Express Entry is to target young professionals who can boost Canada's economy. So they will weigh qualifications and merits for the spouse in order to assess her or his chances of integrating into the Canadian economy. Now, if you do get an ITA without the spouse included in the profile, they cannot accompany you to Canada. But you must disclose all your non-accompanying family members, including your wife or your husband. This way, when you do reach Canada, you can always sponsor your wife and kids as applicable. Remember how I spoke about getting stronger CLB scores? Well, it also helps when it comes to your work experience. Getting a CLB of 7 is good and all, but when you're 30, chances are you have more than 5 years of work experience under your belt. Couple that with a CLB 9 and you get 50 points. That's 25 points higher than some applicants who have 3 years of work experience and a CLB of 7. Of course, it's a steep CLB score for most of you, but keep in mind that getting a CLB 9 means getting an extra 25 points. The same CLB disparity also applies to your education. Let's say you have a diploma with a CLB 7. You get 25 points, but with CLB 9, you get 50 points. Well, 50 points. I would highly recommend you to target CLB 9 rather than CLB 7. I know it's harder, but keep in mind that if you did get CLB 9, which a lot of people do, if you just try a little bit harder, you just boosted your chances compared to other express entry profile candidates who think 7 is just enough. Of course, Canadian work experience and studying here might also help, but keep in mind that getting a study permit comes with its own set of costs. Most students prefer a 2-year program because international student fees are super high, and once they are done, they apply for a postgraduate work permit equal to their study loan. Now, this may cost anywhere between $25,000 to $50,000 depending on the program and college you are getting into. Yes, you heard me right. $25,000 to $50,000 and in Canadian dollars. Now, that's the cost of this route. Alternatively, you can always apply for a work permit by approaching Canadian companies. One good tip I give you is try searching job opportunities in different provinces. Some provinces have a serious lack of certain type of workers, and there are a lot of government subsidies for companies that depend on those type of workers. Now, if you can get into those industries, then you can make it to Canada and use that as Canadian work experience as long as it meets IRCC's criteria. So it's not really hard to make a strong express entry profile. Just make sure you sit down, do your research, and plan it before you create a profile. For the most part, I get clients who create an express entry profile and then come to me for support. See, an express entry profile is only valid for 1 year. Of course, you can always improve it, but remember, if you're going to start with one right now, then start strong. Get the high IELTS score, get your ECAs, and write down all your work experience. Once you get everything organized, structure it, and it would take probably around a month or less than 2 months. And then once you're done, create the profile. Hope this helped people. Remember, immigration process is not hard at all. If you have any questions, feel free to email Alpha Abroad at info@aaimmigrations.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe my videos. See you in the next video.